The wounds are being healed. The sanctity has been restored. The nature of the attempted disruption of the unity of the country becomes clearer as the basements are cleared, manholes flushed, and a veritable arsenal of arms, ammunition, and sophisticated lethal weapons are dredged from the bowels of the buildings surrounding the Golden Temple. The dimension of the perfidy emerges in this interview with Major General Brar. General Brar, I'm going to start with a slightly surgical question. Most newspapers talk about you having stormed the Golden Temple. Would you like to put this straight for the record?
There is no question of our having stormed the Golden Temple. In fact, we didn't even want to enter the Golden Temple. To put the record straight, I may tell you that on the day that we actually entered the Golden Temple complex, that's on the 5th of June, sometime in the afternoon at about 4 o'clock, we sent out an appeal, a sincere appeal to all the terrorists inside, a lot of innocent pilgrims inside, including women and children, to kindly come out and lay their arms. We did not want to use force against them at all. So the question of storming into the Golden Temple just doesn't arise.
How do you regard these terrorists or extremists? How would you define them? What sort of people are they?
That's a very awkward question. All I can say is that they were operating from the Golden Temple, which was the nerve center of crime, instructions. They were sending out death warrants to people. They were ordering murders of innocent people all over the country. You can even hear, you can still hear them firing outside the Golden Temple. Anyway, the fact is that every day there were a large number of murders being committed all over the country under instructions from the Golden Temple. These terrorists, I don't think, had regard for life at all. They were functioning from the holy shrine, a place for worship, and yet they had converted this into an arsenal. They had converted it into a terrorist camp. If one goes around this place and sees the hundreds and thousands of weapons, munitions, explosives that they kept here, I'm sure you'll have no doubts in your mind as to what sort of people they were.
What sort of foreign infiltration was there, and were you able to guess or assess from the arms that you captured as to any foreign country was assisting them in this matter of ideating?
I have no doubt in my mind that they have received foreign assistance. From some of the weapons that we've captured, we can see clearly the identification we can clearly establish that these weapons have been obtained from China or Pakistan. They've got Chinese markings, and I'm sure they've been smuggled in through Pakistan. There are a large number of passports that we have come across, Pakistan. They have Khalistan passports with them. A large number of them appeared to me that they were Pakistanis. So I have no doubt in my mind that there has been some infiltration. In fact, just this morning, 2 gentlemen dressed as Nihangs were trying to escape through our cordon when we opened fire on them. We killed them and recovered a weapon from them. These Nihangs, on identification, leave no doubt that they are Pakistanis. The medical examination confirms this fact.
Now, can you recap on that fateful night when you went in at, I think, 10:30 at night? What sort of opposition did your boys receive from these highly entrenched individuals here, these terrorists?
If I may say so, I think it was extreme opposition. We thought that they weren't going to give us such a stiff resistance. The intelligence that we had received earlier led us to believe that their resistance would be much less than what they actually offered us. When we came in, at about 10:30 at night, on the 5th of June, the battle started raging. Right at the entrance to the Golden Temple, the entire fortress was fortified. They had bunkers, emplacements, shelters on rooftops. They had converted all the windows into emplacements. They had converted doors into emplacements. They had underground tunnels from where they would appear. They would move from room to room. In fact, they had even converted manholes in some of the verandas as firing positions. They used to appear through these manholes, lob grenades, shoot at us with Sten guns and other automatics, then disappear into the manhole, which connected them into a room. It was difficult to flush them out at night. They went to the extent of using the Akal Takht as a firing position. The Akal Takht had bunkers on the ground floor, bunkers which took on my troops at ground level. On both sides of the Akal Takht, they had emplacements and bunkers on the high-rise rooftops. Inside the Akal Takht, on all the floors, they had very fortified positions. In fact, it is revealing even now when you go onto the second floor of the Akal Takht that the floor is littered with thousands and thousands of rounds of ammunition that they expended. I have a feeling that that was their last-ditch stand. They put everything into it. It was do or die. And when they found that they had expended all their ammunition, when they found that they were now overpowered, they even went to the extent of blowing up some of the portion of the Akal Takht. This is evident from the large amount of explosives that we have found in that particular location. Even the Harminder Sahib, unfortunately and regrettably, was used by these terrorists to fire upon us. Whereas we used complete restraint. All troops were instructed that under no circumstances was any fire to be directed towards Harminder Sahib. The terrorists brought down effective fire on us from all directions, from the Harminder Sahib complex as well as other places. It was a very difficult task for my troops to restrain themselves from aiming towards the Harminder Sahib. And it's a wonderful feeling now to know that Harminder Sahib has been untouched by any of us. And in spite of the large number of casualties that we have suffered, our troops have maintained the discipline and self-control of which we all feel proud.
Could you give us some of the arithmetic of the casualty figures?
We have suffered high casualties in the tune of about 55 dead. About 55 dead and about 320 wounded. It is unfortunate that even some of our people were missing. We've been able to trace most of them except one to date. One of our casualties, when we recovered his body, he had been strapped with explosives all over his body and exploded by a detonator. You can just imagine the methods that these terrorists used, which no human being or no sane-minded person would ever even think of. As far as the terrorists are concerned, their casualties range to about 300 to 400. We are still counting them. They're still being picked up under debris and underground basements and tunnels. And there are about 1,500 or so of them who have been apprehended.
Were they well trained?
Extremely well trained.
Where?
I've got a feeling that they've been trained in certain camps under officers and men who've been in the army at some stage or the other, and guerrillas who have got training from outside. These were all highly motivated people. They were disgruntled during their service in the forces, and they took this as an opportunity to train anti-nationalist elements. And I can tell you and assure you that the way they fought, it was a well-planned military operation, but the methods used by them were brutal.
Now, one last question to end all questions. Could you tell us when the total sanctity of this area will be restored? When do you think you'll be able to winkle out the last snipers?
Well, I must say that we started restoring the sanctity of this place even before we entered in here. The very fact that we didn't touch Harminder Sahib itself shows that we had maintained the sanctity of this complex. As soon as the 6th morning appeared and we felt that we had got most of the terrorists, we started our work. We got the Granthis out from the Golden Temple. We ensured that they were protected. We cleaned the place up. There have been weapons in this complex which have been thrown in to the pond and hidden. We, however, ensured that Darbar Sahib started functioning immediately. We made sure that Qurbani Sahib was recited at the earliest, and our troops have been going into the shrine every day that we've been here and getting peace and solace. As far as the rest of the restoration is concerned, I have no doubts that we shall be able to restore the Golden Temple complex very soon with assistance from civil authorities.